Okay, guys, the Super Bowl of audiophile shows is coming up next week, at least for the Northeast region of the country. Capital Audiofest in Rockville, Maryland. I've got some exclusives for you that nobody else knows about. Stay tuned. Okay, guys, welcome back to the channel. Wanted to get this video out to you before Capital Audiofest because there's a lot of things that people don't know about I want to share with you in this video. Number one being, if you watch my Toronto coverage, I had a video with the isoacoustics demo. It was kind of controversial because of the delta, the difference was so huge. Well, they have invited me before hours on Saturday to do a totally exclusive demo for me. I can do that demo again, do a lot of more testing that I didn't have time to do, and get an A/B demo with different speakers this time, other than the PS Audios. They haven't told me which speakers yet, but stay tuned for that. Anybody that's been following me on that front, that's going to be really cool. But really what I'm doing in this video is two things. I'm highlighting Gary Gill, the guy that organizes the entire show. He's going to tell you in this Zoom I did with him some of the things he's looking forward to, some of the new things that are coming out at the show. You're definitely going to want to pay attention to what he mentions. But then we pivot. I have Mike Sweck with Unique Home Audio. He's a dealer that I can 100% give thumbs up on. Very impressive to me. And he did a show in Tampa with the Bach. And now he's going to be the distributor and carry a brand of speakers that I have been very intrigued with. If you've been watching me all year, you know I've been kind of wanting to find an electrostatic speaker that passes the test for me. If I was ever to pivot from these, it probably would be a line source electrostatic, because I just find vocals and the coherency to be so good with those ilk speakers, potentially, that it's the only thing that I could think of that would bring me, or the planers like the Audiophiles. But again, finding one that's in a reasonable budget and the performance of no compromise is very difficult. And you've seen me go and demo Metaxas Prince, Sound Labs in the Dallas show. There's been a lot of electrostatics I've been intrigued by, but when it comes to full range performance, there's a little bit of compromise that has been a little too great for me, at least at the models that I've been looking at certain price points. So this one, the Popori, is one that impressed me a few years ago. You can go back to my videos from 2 years ago at Seattle Audiofest. Really impressive to me, and I share with you a story about that in this Zoom. So you're going to want to watch that. But they have an advantage that I haven't found with electrostatics. Uncompromised dynamics, 100 dB it can play, virtually full range. And then on top of that, they do not have crossover parts where you have to mate this type of a driver with this type of a driver and this type of driver, which can be done very well, especially if you have Bach at your listening position to get flat. But they still present different impedance curves to your amp, and then there's still slight tonal variations when they're both playing the same frequencies. That the purity of electrostatics covering most all of the frequency range is something that I value a lot. That's something I put a high value on, and it sounds so realistic and good with certain instruments, vocals, that if I ever was to pivot, this is the ilk speaker that I've been, as you've been watching me all year, looking for the Holy Grail. Well, the Poporis, at least reportedly, and from what I remember 2 years ago, passed my test. You're going to hear from Gary Gill, who actually owns, this is, of all the speakers he could own, he owns Poporis. And you're going to hear from him, and also Mike Sweck, who's going to be having him in his room. So this is a really cool Zoom, because you're going to get a chance at the show to benchmark it against any other speaker you want, regardless of price. But when you factor in the price and the Bach is going to be in this room, this is a must-see room. And I'll be in there a lot, so come in and say hi. I definitely want to do my own testing. And I think he's going to be running scheduled demos during the day. If you are interested in a dedicated demo with either Edgar's going to have his own room like he normally does, and I've showcased for you with the Jansen speakers and the Bach. this unique home audio. Mike Sweck's going to have it with the Poporis and the Bach. If you're interested in either of those rooms, getting dedicated demos before hours or after hours, just let me know. Send me an email. I'll try to get you on there. It's going to fill up super quick. And I've got my own stuff before hours, like the isoacoustic thing I just mentioned to you. So let me know as soon as possible. I can get you on the schedule. But enjoy this Zoom, because there's a lot of cool stuff coming at Capital Audio Fest. See you there.
This is going to be the largest show that we have yet, to the point where Capital Audio Fest is maxed out. We're having 125 rooms and approximately 60 to 70 booth vendors. So we can continue to grow with the number of booths, but right now it's going to be pretty busy. And I just hope that we still keep, or we retain, the same vibe as we've had in previous years. We want it to still be the Capital Audio Fest vibe, with being fun and family oriented, being able to see every room, although it's going to take multiple days. This year there's people are bringing out new products. I know Von Schweikert has got a new Aston Martin colored floor standing speaker. Then I know Linear Tube Audio is bringing out their new Aero DAC. I have several different vendors that I've never had before. MyTech is bringing out their new mono / stereo. What is it? Their FET amp, or it's their Class D amplifier. I can just go on, but I just don't remember them all at this time. I was just lucky to be able to get all my materials, like the show program and the signage, to the printer. We did it late Monday night, and we were late. But man, we've got a large program. We're also going to offer it online as a QR, because fewer and fewer people are carrying around a paper program. So we're going to also have QR codes around the show, so that people can upload the show program on their phones. But we've just got, and I also added 3 more guest speakers. So traditionally I had 4 per day. Now we're having 5 per day on Friday and Saturday, which is going to be jam-packed from 11 until 6 p.m. On Friday, Saturday, and we have 4 guest speakers on Sunday. We also have 3 bands playing, a really killer local live, a local blues, I don't know, I'd say along the lines of Allman Brothers / Little Feat, called the Moran Trip Band. It's got this killer 20-year-old guitarist, and they have a record release party. That's on Friday night. Also Friday night in the Washington room, Doug White of the Voice That is also bringing a New York jazz quartet. The guy's name is Joe Block, and he's represented by Steinway. So the guy's killer. Wow. Steinway's bringing their piano. He's going to be back in the Washington room. And then that's going to be super good, but we'll have 2 bands going simultaneously. So you're going to have to choose where you're going to go. And then on Tuesday night, we have another record release party by the Hazelrig Brothers. They're a jazz trio. They're going to be playing on Wednesday night, again in the bar. So it's going to be a live music in the bar scenario. So it's going to be packed. Everybody's sending me, they're having after-hour parties. There's a DC audiophile group that's having a party in the library. Of course, Matt Weisfeld has these blowout parties back in his room, in the VPI room. Greg Barron, United Home Audio, they have nice wine and cheese and all kinds of great music all weekend. And of course, VAC has a great party going on in the Potomac room. So it's going to be a great weekend.
No, I'm looking forward to it. It's always one of the best shows of the year.
Thank
And
you.
like you say, the live music has been really exceptional at your show, this particular show. So definitely looking forward to that. And on that front, I've been getting a lot of your posts in social media,
Yes.
sharing the different rooms. That Aston Martin Green von Schweikert,
Wow.
definitely looking
Wow.
forward to seeing that firsthand.
Yeah.
But to pivot to one of the main reasons we wanted to do this Zoom is Mike Sweck with Unique Home Audio. This is his first
Right.
time being at a room and kind of coordinating with you because both of you have in the background of your Zoom here, same speaker brand. It's
Right. Right.
Popori, or we're still trying to find out the exact pronunciation, but what's not in dispute is how good these speakers sound. I heard them at the Seattle Audiofest a few years ago, and
Right.
I'll tell this story. I literally was on the second floor. I had heard Make Us Stronger, which is now a very common song that's played
Uh-huh.
everywhere. And I heard them on the Acora VRC1s, which are their reference, very dynamic, very impressive. Definitely highlights that speaker really well. And I was pulled into the room by Dr. Vinyl with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Popporis and
Yeah.
said, "You got to hear these speakers." And coincidentally, I didn't ask, they volunteered that song, which anybody that knows electrostatic speakers knows that typically they do not want to play stuff that's highly dynamic,
Right.
bass heavy at high volumes. They played it. Now, I didn't get to the exact same dBs that the core room did, but we just didn't turn it up that high. But I was super impressed, and I walked out like saying, "Wow." I would have a hard time judging which one I like better. And in terms
Right.
of line source and open baffle, this speaker really stood out to me, but it hasn't been at some shows in the past couple of years, so it kind of escaped my memory. But this past year, I've become more infatuated again with electrostatics, what
Right.
they offer,
Right.
single, not driver types that present different impedance curves to the amp, but also that coherency. And I finally think I've found one that doesn't have the trade-offs that we were talking about. And to that end, Mike Sweck is going to become a distributor for them. And he
Right.
told me he's got a pair of the modern ones. And from measurements alone, they are phenomenal with the Bach. We looked at measurements, but Mike's own report. And then we found out that you actually use these as your reference.
Yes.
And your report has been extremely positive. So wanted to generally maybe turn things over to you and Mike to kind of share your thoughts on this brand, because it's definitely one I'm going to be in that room a lot covering it. And I want everybody to know about this room. You may not know that name, Popori, but definitely one room you want to check out.
Right. Right. I can say, sorry to interrupt you there, Mike, but I can say that I've had the speakers for approximately 6 months, and as you can guess, I've been through a lot of gear. You know, I have access to a lot of gear. But with that being said, I'm also kind of finicky. I started off as a vintage guy, from horns to I still have, if you can see around my room, I have two pairs of quad ESL 57s. I still love electrostats. And then when I heard the Poporis, I immediately got rid of my wideband drivers and my horns, and I started messing around with these guys. The Poporis, um, first they impressed me, and I won't name names, but I went over to a local, uh, the the previous importer's house, and he had a monster solid state amp playing these speakers that you see behind me, and it was a coffin sized transistor amplifier. And he said to me, "You're not going to believe these." I said, "All right." I came over, and I was really impressed with his amplifier. I was really impressed the sound that came out of these speakers. And he said, "Well, you know that these are very efficient." I said, "Well, that's why I brought my amplifier." And while we're here, one second. While we're here, I have two of these amplifiers. This is a a, you can see how I'm jiggling around. This is a custom-made David Burning
Oh yeah.
amplifier. I think he made only about 10 of them, and I have 2. And it's also been upgraded continuously by linear tube audio, since linear tube audio uses the same basic designs. So anyway, I took my amplifier over to the previous owner's house, and he said they're very efficient. So I took my amplifier and I put it in there. I was there with, well, I'll use his name. His name is Jeff, and Dr. Vinyl and myself. And we looked at each other and started laughing. I could not believe that my little 10-watt amplifier just crushed the brand I will not mention. And man, the bass, the slam, the imaging, the depth, everything that I'd been missing from my system at home was there. And then I took them home and went on this other journey. So it's been really great, and I'm really happy I made that change.
Well, to that end, I spent this whole year kind of exploring electrostatics, kind of like you did. I found this one efficient, but then when I've also tested other ones, again, I've got videos on it, but
Yeah,
so many of them do not pass the test with
right.
dynamics and low bass, and you basically assume that if at least you can get them under 100 hertz, you could roll them off to subs, but these don't need subs. But
No,
we're going to demo it. I know Mike is going to bring 2 subs, have it hooked up where we can change on the fly, and you can see if you want to do that, you can. It may add a little bit of extension, but you can also hear it without subs and no
yes,
compromise. And I think that's going to be a very telling story for a new type of electrostatic that doesn't have the compromises. I'm super excited to see these, because if I ever was to pivot for speakers that I would want to own myself, it would be this holy grail of electrostatics, one driver
right.
type that can do full range. There's so many advantages to that, open baffle, line source. But Mike, you want to talk about a little bit what else is going to be in your room? And also that sail shape in the back is a prototype that won't be at the show, but I have demanded that they make that
Yeah,
prototype because
that's
it is,
beautiful.
for lack of a better word, badass.
Right.
They have got to make that. I told them it's got to be made, and maybe that would be the one I would own at some point. But Mike, you want to talk about your room and what else is going to be in there?
Yeah, so Gary actually has the model above what I'll have in my room. Yeah, their naming is kind of difficult, but they did kind of help out a little bit and reduce some of the models that didn't make sense. So Gary's are technically the WR1s. I will have the WR2s. So I kind of call that their sweet spot or their middle. I don't know the secret sauce of Popori to be able to get the low frequency response, because the ones I'm going to be bringing to the show are 15 inches wide. So they hit a lot of the check marks that I was looking for to bring in a new electrostatic line. So I was a dealer for another brand. It is a great speaker, but looking for someone with more modern aesthetics, more life factor friendly, and size and efficiency. The one thing that I was kind of astonished with the Poporis is the you don't need a massive refrigerator sized amp to power them. After reviewing the specs, I'm a dealer for Atmosphere, and I have Ralph on the phone, and he was looking all the numbers up, and he's an engineer guy. And he's like, well, these are the holy grail of electrostats. So he sent me what's called a gem. It's a 5-watt little stereo amplifier. And I'm like, man, 5 watts. And it powers them. Not to ear bleeding levels, but this 5-watt little amp is powering an electrostat speaker. So again, me bringing these in, I never heard of them. I was basically going actually by your review, talking with Popori and talking with Gary quite a bit, and just worked out with Popori to get a pair to me so I can put through my tests. I won't be able to play music when people request them and not limit the songs that are being played. because they won't produce it. These hit all the check marks.
Yeah, that's an important part to mention. And I told him, I gave you this suggestion. I think we're going to run with it for your room. Nothing is off the table in terms of what we played. I think we'll do scheduled demos in terms of playing this dynamic material that we know you're going to hear in other rooms. And I want people to benchmark and try to go to other rooms. I think you're even going to have a dB meter in your room to show what levels it will get to with and without the subs if you want to test that, and any song you want to play. Other rooms with similar type speakers will not play some of these songs, and they will not certainly go to these dB levels, which is only one aspect of why you buy a speaker, but it's a very important one for a lot of people when you have trade-offs. And for me, it's definitely a trade-off I don't want to have. And so I definitely want to make sure people take that opportunity, take that challenge, come to the room, listen to it. But we're probably also in your room is going to be the Bach, which can also tailor it to your ears and the listening position, crosstalk. So the potential of this room is off the charts. And ASC tube traps, I know you're going to have that in the room. Cabling, and VioBlue is going to provide elevators. Snake River is doing some of the cabling. So this is going to be a very high-end room that could get the utmost potential in a hotel room, especially with DSP and ASC tube trap, but also at a price point, we're talking about the ones you're bringing. What are they, in the $30,000 budget range, Mike?
Yeah, I just was actually make sure I don't misquote on the numbers. They're going to be 34, which would be the customs, shipping, the whole thing. And one thing, I'll back up on the aesthetics. Popori sent me a case. It's almost unlimited on the different colors and options you have. I mean, they have some that actually look like a stone or a granite, or you know, this case I'll have out there, so you can really tailor them to your aesthetics also, which I find appealing as well.
Yeah,
and
Mike, as I said to you before, that one of the first things my wife said to me, she was like, "Wow, these are really attractive," which they definitely stray from the typical hi-fi look, and they stray from most the look of most speakers. I mean, the way they're, you can probably barely see behind me, but they're you can see through them. They have very attractive framing, and everybody that we've had over, you know, my wife and I have other couples over to listen. We'll have a glass of wine and have dinner first, and then we listen to music. And man, everybody's been really, really surprised, very pleased.
Yeah, they're not huge panels, wall dividers that some of these line sources have typically suffered from in the marketplace. But also to the point that you made, Mike, when I've talked to the people behind the brand, a little bit of knowledge that I gained, because it was, how did you do this that others haven't? And the guy behind the brand actually repaired electrostatics for decades before he decided to build his own. So he was very familiar with the trade-offs and how the other companies made, you know, trade-off decisions in the past. And he found some secret sauce that he applied to this, his own brand. And that's where I think it paid off, at least in my memories from 2 years ago. And then both of you guys, who I trust, have had even more recent experience. And then I'm going to have a lot of experience at Capital Audiofest in this room. So it's one I wanted to highlight.
I tell you what, not only do you have the other electrostats, including SoundLab and Quad. There's a new version, a Quad speaker that will be there, but also you have, be interesting to compare to the other planers.
Oh yeah.
You're going to have Diptych, and you're going to have Magnapan is there. So I'm not sure if there's going to be other planers at this point, but it'll be interesting to go, you know, throw them all in the same category.
Go to every room, and we're going to have the dB meter. We're going to have the songs, and then you can make that decision for yourself. And I think after hours, because it also has the Bach, and people do like to get calibrated you know, and get the full experience of the Bach. Although even if you go in the room, as long as you sit in that center spot or right behind it, you're fine. If you do want to have a scheduled demo before hours or after hours, this is kind of your FYI. If you follow me, send me an email or send Mike an email at Unique Home Audio and schedule that. It's going to be his room, but I can communicate if you know my email. And again, this show, like Gary's saying, you have this is a show you must attend. I mean, my coverage is, you know, get pretty comprehensive, and a lot of people feel like they're there when they're there, but you never get to actually audition. The chance of diptychs, magnepans, sound labs, a brand like Popori. This is your chance to get that firsthand experience. So if you're anywhere near Capital Audio Fest this weekend, I would highly recommend you guys attend. Don't be afraid to say hi to me. Gary's going to be pretty busy, but I'm sure he'd like to meet new friends. After hours at the bar is going to be great with live music.
Right.
And Mike is a dealer that I can 100% endorse. Very few dealers nowadays, you know, can pass my screening and really endorse. And I've been working with him. Just very impressed with how he runs his shop. Very small shop, but he carries the brands that I endorse and really feel positive about. So he's a great guy. Make sure you come say hi to him as well. Anything else you guys wanted to share about the show coming up?
Yep, just the room is we're gonna be in room 840, and I do want to, the amplification will be provided by Kevin from Bach. He was gracious. Actually, he's only an hour and 10 minutes from me, so last minute, I really want to show these with a lower power tube amp, and he was gracious, drove down there, picked them up. So we're going to have his smallest power amp, which is the Essence 80 IQs. So they're an 80-watt tube amp. So, and I've already been playing around with them on the Poporis, and it's quite excellent.
Yeah, that's big props to VAC. They are great guys, and that's a great product. That pairing that with these, somebody may want to buy the whole system, you know, after hearing that. Yeah. And so anything else, Gary? I know you're busy. You got to get back to scheduling the show, so I don't want to take too much of your time, but definitely wanted to give you props for putting on such a great show.
Thank you. Although it didn't happen overnight, it's taken
years.
This is the 13th year.
Okay.
And I mean, people like yourself that have been supporting the Capital Audio Fest for years. I'm very, very happy. I'm very lucky that I've been able to take this the long road and turn it into something successful. So I appreciate it on your end also.
Yeah, my pleasure. I love going to these shows. I love meeting the people. But again, when you have this kind of brand and this kind of people combined and the live music, it's just a win. For our hobby, this is one of the biggest Super Bowl weekends of the year.
It is.
That's how I kind of look at it. So can't wait to see you guys in person really soon. Thanks for joining me on this call.
Thank you.
And, I'll try to get this video out for you guys as soon as possible.
Excellent. I appreciate it. See you guys in a few days.
Thanks, Gary, for being on this call, and Jason for putting it together. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in a few days, and hopefully no more hurricanes.
I hope not. I'm over them.
All right, I got a dog barking in the background, probably interrupting us. But yeah, thanks again, guys, and I'll see you soon.
All the best.
Okay.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.